Alright, we're back. We've got an update. Now, yes, I'm missing a character. Do I want to go Poe? Yeah, let's go Poe Rancho for this one. And let's do Inlaid Library, because that's a little easier. And I'm just gonna Wrecking Man my way through this. I'm not big on Poe, but he's not terrible either. How do I want to do this one? Cross combos with Clover. I think we want to go Fire Wand. I like the cross better, but I think the Fire Wand has better potential for what I'm doing. So my goal here is to get garlic, spinach, there we go. Garlic, both pigeons, and then some support things. Probably the book. And what item makes garlic evolve? I'm pretty sure it's the heart. Do we want to get the King Bible? Because this is not a projectile build. I'm not actually sure where I want to go with this build. Frankly. Like the King Bible kind of renders... The King Bible kind of renders the garlic not that great. Rune Tracer isn't really that helpful. I think I might just grab the Candelabra Door. Yeah, we'll just get the Candelabra Door because it does expand the garlic. We're gonna have more passives than we're gonna have weapons because the Pigeon evolution just involves both pigeons, which actually makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad that they went with that option. It also kind of feels like the garlic might just be stronger too. Rune Tracer is awesome. Yeah, but I don't think for this run. Poe Rancho does not have any natural projectile enhancements. Let's see. And so it's not quite as practical, I guess. Okay, it's not the Hollow Heart, it's the other one. Clover? No, let's keep going. Fire Wand. Here we go. It does feel like garlic is hitting a little bit better. I don't know if it's rate of fire or something, but I definitely feel like I can mow through these guys much more effectively than I used to be able to. Okay, garlic. We might actually want to consider the Lancet, frankly. So True Circle needs a rerun? I mean, I believe the last run I did was Perfect Circle. It was off a little bit because I think I had the lightning ring, but the lightning ring still does circular attacks. It's just not centered on me. Let's see. I don't think the Spellbinder really helps. I'm glad to see them already updating. Yeah, it's about once a week. You get a pretty substantive update for this game with a whole bunch of new things. Maybe not like anything particularly groundbreaking, but like minor stuff that actually goes pretty far. But yeah, we could try the true Perfect Circle, which is only things that are centered around me. I think that could be kind of fun. Because I've definitely done a Perfect Circle run, but it was mostly pigeon meta more than anything else. I think ring should count as a circle regardless. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's circular. Thanks to how simple this game is, I bet it's pretty easy to update. Yeah, I'd think so. How about that no evolving weapons run? We're gonna do that after we get the next couple achievements. Now, there is one other bit of content that I haven't seen yet, that I'm not sure what I'm going to do. So there's a character that starts with ebony wings and gets like 200% luck. However, as far as I know, they're kind of one of those like really secret characters. There's no achievements for them. And to unlock them, I think it involves picking up... What is that? We picked up like a weird glowy brick thing. I don't actually know. Whoa. Oh! Okay. The glowy brick thing is spicy. It's a temporary flamethrower move. That's okay. As far as as far as like neat passive pickups, that's cool. I dig it. Oh, there's the Pigeon. We are going to run into some problems as my damage drops off a little bit, but it does feel like the garlic is tremendously better than it used to be. At least it feels like it's keeping the enemies off better and actually doing large quantities of damage. Let's see. Go for another Pumarola? No. Go for the axe. Maybe? I mean, we've already got the candelabrador, so sure. Okay, and then all we have to do at this point to complete the build is just find ebony wings. Hopefully we don't have to wait the entire run for that to happen. Oh, but we're probably going to have to get both of them up to level 8. This is the first double weapon evolution in the game. And so I'm kind of curious how that's going to function comparatively. There we go. Yeah, it's working. And then the book should also make this tremendously better, but we've got to fill out our build first before I want to mess with that. Yeah, look at this. Garlic actually isn't kind of okay at best. It wasn't terrible, but it just did not last. There's ebony wings. All right, build is complete. Or at least as complete as we need it to be. Now it's just filling out the goodies. Let's see. So what about the secret character? How to get it? So I believe the Discord was talking about this, and I think it has something to do with finding clovers. And there's like a % chance every time you find a clover that you'll unlock the new character. I think. That said, the easiest way to do it is to edit your save file. And I only figured this out like a couple minutes ago, so I'm not actually going to bother doing that, at least for today. It's going to take a little bit. So go for the attract orb. I don't think so. Not for today. Okay, we want to stay away from the boss a little bit. And I might as well grab the chest. Apparently, the way it works is you don't get evolutions prior to minute 10. So even if you rush for a weapon, it doesn't actually give you the stuff to evolve a weapon. But that's fine. The first 10 minutes of every run is not actually that hard anyway. I mean, do I go Pentagram? Because I already got the spinach. Do I go Pentagram? Sure, why not? Yeah, Pentagram seems like a bad thing since it deletes EXP. So there's two reasons why Pentagram is not as bad as you think it is. One, deleting every enemy causes the next wave to immediately spawn. I believe the game works kind of off of like it has X number of units that are spawned per kind of unit wave timer, if that makes sense. So specifically, you know, right now we're at 5 minutes and 50 seconds. Which means mummies. And so it always is constantly giving you X amount of mummies. And once you've killed all of them, it respawns them. And it's supposed to be kind of smoothly respawning them, but I'm killing them so fast that they're just kind of coming right back. So when you hit them with the pentagram, it immediately spawns a new wave. I think. At least this is based on my observations. I could be quite wrong on this one. So it's not like you're deleting a whole wave's worth of enemies. It's just deleting the ones around you and then immediately respawning them slightly out of sight. The other thing is, once you've leveled up the pentagram a number of times, you actually get the ability to not lose EXP, which kind of offsets any amount of penalty that it causes. So if you can really max it out, it gets pretty good. That said, frankly, as far as weapons go, it's probably one of the least useful. Just because of the baseline penalties for it. You really want that EXP early. And so I honestly would not recommend going for it normally. Wow, we already found the stone mask. I guess I've just been going to the right this entire time. Let's turn, like, right back around. Okay, just don't have them blow up in my face and nothing matters. Looks like the little green gobs are pretty easy to kill. So I can farm them for EXP, whereas the boner boys are a little tougher. The other reason why I want to go with the Pentagram is that this build does not have much for stopping power. Which makes this a little tougher. Let's see. I'd very much like to get some more HP, but I guess we do have some HP regen, which works as well. Where's my head at? This is one of those games that I just kind of talk over. And it's weird to not immediately have a topic to talk about, but it's okay. One thing I dislike about this game is the 30-minute time limit. Oh, baby, here we go. Let's see. 20% chance not to erase items. Hell yeah. Eat garlic breath. Oh, and it's gone. Well, that's okay. Ghosts and slime blobs are equally susceptible to garlic. So, I'm mixed on the 30-minute time limit. On one hand, yes, it is a little disappointing. If only because, like, you really don't get to appreciate a run before it's over. At the same time, I really, really like shorter roguelikes. There are not many of them. And, like, I don't feel like adding another 10 minutes onto this game would make it any more interesting. Maybe if they had more evolution paths or, like, higher tier evolutions, maybe. But frankly, as far as I'm concerned, the 30-minute mark is perfect for this game, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I'm actually full health. Well, that's unfortunate. And, like, I guess I could have done it infinite, but I put out a video on Cavern Kings earlier today, which, like, I love the game. It's great, but it has no ending. You just keep going and going and going until something inevitably kills you, which is fun, but it's part of the reason why I don't enjoy playing Risk of Rain that much, because it's such a fun game that just feels meaningless by the time... Oh, I really should probably be prioritizing pigeons here a little bit. It just kind of feels meaningless by the time you're done, where, like, the run just needs to kind of end soon. Hey, there we go. And, like, maybe an endless game option would be kind of nice. But even then, it just doesn't have the depth. Now, if every loop let you then evolve your weapons, like, 8 ranks further for even more ridiculous, then that wouldn't be bad. Risk of Rain does have a proper end. It does, but let's be honest, you kind of aren't supposed to go for the ending. At least from my perspective, it's always felt like the ending in Risk of Rain was kind of more of just like a formality. Then the real end was just going until you just get absolutely stuffed by something. Is that the right phrase? In retrospect, every once in a while, I, like, stumble upon a phrase that feels right, and then I have to say, like, wait a second, is this, like, an innuendo that I guess it is. I'm always the last person to find out about innuendos. And so, like, I'm just using words normally, and then it's just like, hey, Wander, you know what you're saying is, like, actually kind of gnarly, and it's like, ugh. So you should see Magic Survivor. People have been saying that, but I have negative interest in mobile platforms. It is downright difficult for me to be interested in mobile games, unfortunately. And so, like, I really probably should. But it's just tough. Tried it, found it hard to control with touch controls. Yeah, that's where I'm at. I don't know. Just not my thing. Okay, garlic upgrade? Garlic upgrade! What does it do? Soul Eater, evolved garlic, steals hearts, power increases when recovering HP. Okay. So it isn't quite as consistent, which is actually becoming a problem. It's a problem. It works. But It's not quite as great as I was hoping for. I'm gonna go for the Fire Wand upgrade, even though I should be evolving the Pigeons. I think we need something with a little bit more directional oomph. I'm trying to decide if I like this. It does have lifesteal, which is kind of big. Really useful for the forest, and honestly even here. And suddenly makes Po Rancho considerably less immediately trash. Okay. Yeah, it's certainly keeping me alive. I want to say as far as like a weapon that heals me, the whip is by and far better. But yeah, it does kind of make it hard to see. It's very... The contrast between everything inside the zone and then outside the zone is like a little hard to look at. Getting hearts at spawn seems to create an inner circle that shrinks back down pretty quickly. I was assuming that the shrinky circle is actually more of a more of kind of like a timer. Alright, there's this. Okay, so now we've got some meteors to huck. Unfortunately, they're not like peak meteor because we're not going for a heavier projectile build. I was bad to look at like Balan Wonderland. Wonderworld. Why did they not call it Wonderland? I don't get it. I think that's the biggest travesty of that game. Like, I tried playing it and it definitely felt like a fever dream. More luck. Because the higher my luck, the less likely Pentagram is to delete my stuff, I believe. Yeah, I played the demo for Balan Wonderworld, and it was okay. Definitely not my flavor, but it wasn't like truly heinous. I think the only thing truly heinous about it was the price tag, and that was about it. No, there's probably other stuff. I'm shocked that it comes up in conversation so often, but I guess it's kind of one of those games that, like, the kind of game that people love to hate, and will just kind of continue to love to hate on it forever. Wait, that game isn't called Wonderland? No, it's Balan Wonderworld. Like, blows my mind every time. Okay. Just go here. Yeah, part of the reason why I wanted to pick the Pentagram is so that the Pentagram can delete things for me. Okay, level 3 ebony wings. I'm gonna keep going for clover. Ooh, actually had a lag spike there. Not a big one, but it did exist. Also, this is some nice trash to just mow through. Keep going, luck. Yeah, give me the weak business. I was thinking garlic and Santa water could be an interesting evolution. Yeah, I could see that. I probably called it Wonderland because they didn't want lawsuits. I guess Disney kind of could have. But even then, like, that would have been shaky. I think it's mostly just kind of lost in translation. That they just went with the literal version as opposed to thinking of kind of an alternative that had like a nice rhyme to it. Yeah, might not be able to just call it Wonderland on its own. That's fair. Okay, should be getting the Pentagram soon, though it might just delete the boss out of existence and not get anything cool. But frankly, who cares? We're doing shockingly well. Yeah, boss got deleted out of existence, no chest. Okay, let's oh no, we still don't have all of our passives because I haven't actually figured out what I want for that. Let's probably keep leveling Pentagram. I think the last level has like a 60% give or take. Wonderland is a Disney-specific thing. They own Alice in Wonderland. Do they not? No. I know Lewis Carroll wrote Alice in Wonderland, but I wouldn't be surprised if Disney doesn't own the rights. I should have gotten the Pentagram. Maybe. Oh, Return to Wonderland wasn't Disney, I thought. Oh, maybe you're right. I don't know. I guess I just always assume everything Disney related, like anything Disney has made, they just sit on like this kind of horrible toad. And they're just like, you don't have the copyright. We don't have the copyright. What do you mean we have it? Sue. And then they get what they want because most people don't have enough money to oppose that level of legal clout. Okay, ebony wings. Yeah, because I gotta get the pigeons up. Don't forget you can make your own Winnie the Pooh now. Kind of, sort of. If it's got the like golden yellow fur and the red shirt, then no, you can't. That Winnie the Pooh is actually still copyrighted and will be for a while. It's the just classic teddy bear with no shirt. That one's kosher. To make your own Winnie the Pooh. Shell's on the couch saying make your own stuff, which is also valid. Make a video on it, Shell. Don't backseat conversation my roguelike time. Boy, these ghosts are a fair bit tougher than I thought. Let's get that one. 60% chance not to delete things is actually pretty good for the Pentagram. Big issue with it is just, it's still pretty slow. It only triggers occasionally. Now, if and when we get the book, I think it'll be a lot faster. Which, like, I really should be hustling on. Okay, speaking of hustling, I think what I want to do is kind of weave here. Let's see. Candelabrador would probably be nice, but I think we want to level up the pigeons. Because that's going to be one of my main sources of damage here. I don't think that's a very valid take. Case in point, how much of Disney stuff is based on pre-existing stories and myths. So, you're completely correct that Disney does not actually own quite a lot of things. Like, I don't think they own Snow White. It's public domain. However, that doesn't mean that Disney isn't going to still sit on it like a toad. Like, that's the big problem is, while they might not legally own a lot of the IPs that they've developed over the years, that they are just sue happy enough and more than wealthy enough to keep people from owning it. So there's kind of de facto copyright ownership, and then there's like actual copyright ownership, unfortunately. So for a lot of cases, like, even if you don't own something, if you have enough of kind of like a minute legal claim to something, and enough like financial backing and enough lawyers, you really can just kind of own it. And so yeah, they might not specifically own, I don't know about Alice in Wonderland, because I don't know what the copyright is on Alice in Wonderland specifically, but that you would have to be very careful if you wanted to do your own Alice in Wonderland stuff and probably have some lawyers on hand to advise, purely just because of the potential legal ramifications of upsetting Disney. Oh, also Alice is Disney. They bought the rights in the 30s. Thought so. I don't know how the live action came to be. That might have actually been kind of a weird legally distinct thing. And yeah, are you sure that wasn't Disney? Yeah, I think it is Disney. I think it was just kind of that, like, weird Disney reboot era. Because they also did the, like, weird gritty live action one and some other things. Copyright laws are a travesty. This is a conversation that gets really dicey, because Okay. Copyright. Gosh. All right. Are we going to tackle that monster talking today? So this is a dicey thing. And a lot of people, there's kind of this like unfortunate dichotomy between, I don't want to say necessarily the haves and the have-nots. But there's three different camps when it comes to copyright. They're the people that want to do things but copyright stops them. They're the people that own copyright and want to protect their work. And then there's the people that don't necessarily own the copyright but want to kind of abuse it as kind of a tool. Or maybe they own the copyright but they want to abuse it as a tool to hold onto something in perpetuity. Namely, Disney trying to hold on to certain IPs that at this point have gone public domain, but because of, you know, their clout, they can push copyright law. And so it's very easy to point at like Disney as kind of this big bad of like why copyright law is broken. And I think that is an argument to be had, but I think that's more an argument to be had about how large corporations make too many of the rules that our society operates under, and not enough consideration is given to, you know, smaller guys. On the flip side, I find a lot of people that are really pushing for kind of copyright reform often are people that want to just be able to take somebody else's IP and use it for whatever they want. And so an easy example would be a novelist. Novelists and directors and whatnot cannot read somebody else's scripts or game ideas or, you know, book ideas or anything like that. Because if they ever so much as come close to, you know, including something that was in whatever that book, script, game idea, and so on and so forth, if whatever this creative person, this director, this content producer, if they are too close, then that opens them up for legal suit. And so to some degree, like, they have to be this careful, this aggressively careful, because otherwise, you know, they're gonna get smacked around. And it's a good thing, because ultimately you want to protect against, say, somebody going to Disney and being like, hey, you know, I had this really lovely idea for a movie, and let's see, I had this really good idea for a movie, I'm going to pitch it to you. And then Disney says no, and then makes it themselves. Then the person has a copyright to what they made and can legally, oh gosh, that sucked. I needed something with a little bit more stopping force. I don't think I can do the perfect circle run if I'm doing this. Okay. Okay, we good? We good. Okay, there we go. Do I have the level up? Yeah, I got the level up. Crystal. All right, I think that, gosh, there were a lot of problems with that one. Start with the Pigeon. I'm going to do this again. We're going to keep talking about this, seeing as this is going to come up constantly anyway. And honestly, I'm just going to talk about it probably endlessly. Do I want to get the whip as part of this? Not really. I don't want the clock lancet because it's bad. Do I want the whip maybe instead of the pentagram? Actually, I think we do want the whip instead of the pentagram. The main reason for the whip is the whip has a little bit of a knockback and works laterally, which works incredibly well here. Okay, so, gosh, there's a lot of different angles to talk about copyright. But so, a lot of the reasons why you don't want to touch copyright laws too much is because if you do, you end up screwing over, like, smaller creators and removing pretty much the only way that they have to defend themselves. So, you know, recently, a couple of years ago, I might actually grab the attract orb now I'm thinking about it. A couple of years ago, I specifically made a t-shirt design. One t-shirt design, and this is back in, like, what, 2018? So, almost 4 years ago now that I made this t-shirt design. And I was really proud of it, put it up on the internet, put it up on... Do I go for the spinach? Yeah, I'm gonna grab the spinach. We're just gonna go fill out the build first, and then try and actually max it out. Anyway. So, as part of this, I made this t-shirt design, was very proud of it, put it up on multiple platforms, namely just kind of a private storefront, but also on the Amazon storefront. Do I want to get the cross? If I'm going to be going for luck... Yeah, no, yeah, because I could, because it has the projectile down, so it's not particularly problematic if I don't have big boosted projectiles here. Yeah, let's go for the cross instead of the pentagram. I find the pentagram's kind of hit and miss anyway. Okay. Let's get over here. And then toasty roasty again. Alright, cool. But yeah, just one shirt design, put it up on Amazon, and like 50 or so people bought it in like the first week, which is great. And I was like overjoyed. And then I want to say like not even a couple days later, like a couple days after I put it up, all of a sudden there was like a ton of other shirts popping up on Redbubble, on Amazon again, and they were all using either my design that I made for my shirt or my just other channel art in general. And specifically, they were all stealing my stuff because they saw on kind of the Amazon storefront analytics that, oh, Wanderbots is popular enough to sell 40-50 shirts. We're going to make an Wanderbot merch and try and capitalize on this new trend. None of these people had any idea who I was. None of these people had any idea what my channel was about or why they were making the shirt. All they knew is they could turn a quick buck. But due to let's grab the Pomerola. Due to copyright laws, I could go to Amazon and say, hey, take this down. And then Amazon would say, who are you? No. And then I'd have to sit down and say, no, Amazon, you need to take this down. And they'd be like, oh, okay. And it was really frustrating because it took like 3 or 4 tries sometimes to actually get them to take it down. And eventually they got a lot better at it. Mostly owing to the fact that they had some kind of like weird pass system where if you put in like a secret code, they'd do it instantly because now you're verified. And it was kind of junky and I didn't like it. Probably to prevent people from copyright trolling too much. But if it wasn't for that system, I would have had to go to court to sue the people that had put up my shirt for sale. Do we want to work on the pigeons first instead? No, I should work on the garlic. Even in its junk state, it's not great. But so if it wasn't for like DMCA, for example, I would not have been able to take those shirts down, and I would have had to, I would have specifically had to go out of my way to sue these people in court. And like, we figured out who some of these people were, and they very much were not in the US and could not be sued. And due to Section 230, I think it is, in the US, I wouldn't be able to sue Amazon either because they are legally protected from lawsuits for hosting stolen, effectively copyrighted content illegally. Namely just because they can't manage everything and so on and so forth. And so, on one hand, yes, it's really frustrating that there are copyright trolls out there, or there are Disneys that will sue the pounce off of anybody for getting remotely close to, Alice in Wonderland. And so there's very much this kind of back and forth between a lot of people where it's like, well, it's unfair that Disney can do this. It's true, but the laws that Disney hides behind are specifically the ones that are so necessary for smaller creators to not just lose access to whatever their important thing is. And so it's difficult to rewrite the laws specifically in one way, shape, or form that can still protect the small guy while also not letting Disney wield it like a club, because ultimately it's in Disney's best interest to use loopholes and exceptions and laws to their best interests. So, obviously trying to dominate as much of Winnie the Pooh as possible, or as much of Alice in Wonderland as possible, because if they can continue to own those things, then they profit the most from it. And so, like, there's a very big argument to be made for, like, yeah, Disney is a bad actor in this case. And I think you'd be better off specifically having regulatory bodies that say, okay, this is too much, kind of as a separate judgment deal. There's something. I think the complaint with Disney is they push copyright claims to 90 years after the death of the creator. It doesn't really help the small guy. I think that's, well, so there's kind of two ways on that one. Because, honestly, I don't know if that's necessarily a big problem, because in most cases, the people that are using the public domain usually aren't using it for anything interesting. And admittedly, like, that's not a good argument from a legal perspective, but how would I describe it? I'm thinking of Dune or Lord of the Rings. I don't actually know what the state of the Lord of the Rings copyright is at the moment, just because, but Tolkien's been dead for, what, 10 years, 20 years? And I'm sure once Lord of the Rings becomes public domain, you're probably going to get some interesting products. Let's grab the Candelabrador. We're just trying to fill up my build right now while I'm kind of strong-ish. But once Lord of the Rings becomes public domain, you're not actually going to see a lot of little guys really benefiting off of it. What's more likely to happen is that you're going to have a bunch of companies kind of coming up with their own renditions, or a bunch of people just kind of selling their own Lord of the Rings merch. And that it almost kind of destroys the brand in a way by opening it up that much, because then you just have people doing whatever. I think of Lovecraft, which admittedly, like, there's some pretty good Lovecraftian horror media out there, but there's a lot of Lovecraftian stuff that is just like, it's Lovecraft, and then it's just not, and it's terrible. And so it's kind of, I like the argument of, like, it helps smaller creators to have public domain. I think it's important. That's all you're describing as Sturgeon's Law. Maybe. I actually don't know Sturgeon's Law. Haven't heard that one before. Yeah, to be fair, most fantasy stuff is based on Lord of the Rings. And that's kind of where I'm at. That it's like, sure, public domaining Lord of the Rings would result in some interesting products, but I think the problem is what that leads to is actually kind of what we have to deal with on a consumer grade level of, like, a lot of this stuff that we experience nowadays is boring as shit. That you don't really have a whole lot of original ideas in movies at all anymore. And, you know, to some degree that's not perfect, but I don't know. I guess I haven't seen a convincing argument in a lot of cases for why, like, public domain stuff. What? Did we just yeet that explode ghost, Banshee? I guess we did. Sturgeon's Law is an adage. 90% of everything is crap. The adage was coined by Theodore Sturgeon. Ah, yeah. I think that's fair. But that, as somebody that grew up with a lot of Lord of the Rings, I kind of appreciate the slight exclusivity of it. Because there's kind of that feeling of, like, most Lord of the Rings stuff is going to inevitably be good. Hopefully. Because at least somebody that it has kind of like a vested interest in keeping it good, you know, continues to keep it good, or at least relatively decent. We'll see about this Amazon thing. I mean, it could go the way of, like, Warhammer 40k, where they just kind of pass it out. But, like, imagine a world if, oh gosh, imagine a world if truly everyone had a 40k license. You'd run into some weird shit. You probably already do. And so yeah, I think that is a good kind of counterpoint to me that yes, I am just describing Sturgeon's Law as kind of a reason for why you don't want to just give everybody access to everything. But I think the main point I would say is, especially with kind of how the internet has gone, that you have to be very careful about changing copyright in a way that doesn't start really screw over creators. Because, like I said, with the whole kind of people stealing my shirt thing, like, that was a big problem, and that was before, like, crypto was big. You know, obviously Bitcoin was still around, but it wasn't, like, too much of a thing. But nowadays you have like bot networks just scraping DeviantArt, scraping you know, Tumblr, Twitter, and so on and so forth, just trying to get as much artwork as possible to throw up on, I mean, NFT collections to sell. And so I don't think any of my stuff got grabbed because I'm effectively a nobody and haven't supported my art sites in, like, a very long time. But I know Shell, for example, has had a tremendous amount of her artwork stolen and mostly put up for sale as, like, puzzles or blankets or, oh gosh, I forgot the name of a couple other things. Do I want to grab the axe? Yeah, we'll grab the axe. I think it works fine with this one. But so, we might actually want to grab the duplicator if it goes by. Even if it's not huge, it still helps. Let's go AoE size a little bit. All I need is empty heart. Oh, yeah, that's what I need. I forgot. Whip pairs with empty heart. Brain wasn't there. Hollow heart. There we go. Now I can go pick up the book, and things get a lot easier for me. Ish. Get book. Will travel. Huh. Grab more clover. What is Garlic's pair? The Pumarola, the little red heart. But so with a lot of these kind of modern copyright enforcement issues is that there's not actually good enforcement, and there's not a whole lot of like legal responsibility for websites to defend copyright in a proper way, which is part of the issue. So for example, Amazon, you know, I'm gonna say we shut down easily 30-40 listings off of Amazon, and you know, got rid of the shirts over and over and over again. But at no point in this could we demand from Amazon, like, hey, pay us for the amount of money that at least you profited from the stolen stuff. You know, whoever had stolen our stuff, like, they were using fake names and addresses. Like, we even, I don't think we contacted the person. Or maybe we did. There was an address in Michigan at some point, and we, like, looked it up, and it was just a random residential address. And we figured out pretty quickly that, no, this was not the person that had stolen my artwork and was trying to pass off as their own. You know, these are very fly-by-night people that are just using a fake identity to make a quick buck and get out while the going is good? Question mark. Did Garlic get an upgrade? Yeah, so Garlic baseline is a little bit better, and it also has an evolution. I still think it's very much like kind of D tier as far as equipment goes in this game, but it's at least not as trash as it used to be. Anyway, but so there was no point in any of this where I could go after Amazon, despite the fact that they've been profiting lightly and fully off of... Oh, right, that's the Soul Eater upgrade. There we go. You know, they had been benefiting from stolen content. But because, you know, 230 can't go after them. Which, like, okay, I kind of understand it, but the fact that it was this pattern, you know, people keep stealing my artwork, and there's no way that I can get Amazon to just kind of enforce my copyright for me, except for spending hours checking their platform, sending reports, and then resending reports because they didn't believe me the first time. And, like, I can understand the argument for, like, why a lot of websites should not be immediately legally, you know, accountable for the actions of other people. But when it becomes, I'm going to say fundamental to the platform, or so consistently endemic that you, like, they have to know that it's part of the business. What was it? I want to say there's a couple of, like, big brands that have actually sued Amazon over the last couple of years. Specifically because people were selling knockoffs under the official listings. So if you wanted to buy, like, I don't think it was, like, Canon, but let's use a fake example of, like, you know, Camera Brand sells Camera Brand cameras on Amazon, and then somebody makes their own kind of line of fakes. They might not even be real, you know, all you get is a plastic box in the mail. You know, it's super scammy. Effectively no better than, like, garbage tier stuff that you get from eBay. Or maybe it's just some kind of third-rate knockoff. And what these third-party sellers can do is they can actually just put them under the official listing. And so say you want to buy this Camera Brand camera, and you don't notice that, like, oh, it's giving me the cheaper third-party reseller who, oh no, that's the one selling the camera for like $10 less, and it's also fake. It's not the real thing. And then people get mad and leave bad reviews on Camera Brand's camera page, saying, you know, it's terrible. It didn't even work. This is actually just a rat in a box. You know, it's just really wild stuff sometimes. And so Camera Brand says, well, what can we do about this? And Amazon's like, good luck. And Camera Brand's like, no, not good luck. Like, these people are being defrauded by this poor system. Or, you know, are being frauded by I don't know. wording is hard. And so Amazon just pretty much did not have a system for it. So Camera Brand sues and says, look, you know, you need to fix this. And when it came down to it, Amazon won and is not actually responsible for third-party sellers selling under official listings. And so I think to some degree, no, Amazon should not necessarily be liable for the actions of other people. Neither should they profit. But also, I think they should be liable if they're not doing anything about it. And this is kind of specifically from the perspective of like a Twitch streamer and YouTuber who is subjected to both platforms honestly doing something about it. Like, the wild part is, like, it is within Amazon's power to do things about these abuses, but because copyright law and the way, like, it's currently set up, and also enforcement is set up, most enforcement is very much... Shell is sitting outside the door trying to commentate on this. Bad Shell. You can backseat, but not my conversational points. But so, like, for YouTube, for example, if you put up... If Amazon stopped enforcing people, like, uploading movies, you know, if you put Spider-Man Far From Home up on YouTube, you get smacked down for that hard. And, like, I'm pretty sure that's either... I mean, that's an immediate channel strike, if not, like, just an immediate ban, because YouTube is that much of a hair trigger for it. Like, they really do not want the copyright to get out, and YouTube is, like, the easiest way to upload a whole movie if you want to. And so, like, back in the day, yeah, I used to watch anime on YouTube because they weren't enforcing it until they got sued repeatedly and then said, oh shit, we've got to fix this because we are being held liable. And so kind of the frustration with copyright and copyright trolling and all of these other things is that it's very uneven enforcement and almost always at the behest of the big people. Because, you know, if it was only small independent artist music being stolen and put on YouTube, YouTube probably never would have done anything about it, but it was because big labels were getting their stuff stolen, or, you know, Disney and Universal were getting their movies stolen. They went, like, full-on hard copyright troll. And it's frustrating because I understand why you need that copyright law. It's also frustrating because, yeah, it's not handled well, and a lot of companies use it either as a club or as a shield, and it's not fun to be stuck in the middle. And so when it comes to the discussion of, like, what should be done with copyright law, the answer is there's no easy, quick fix. I find a lot of the discourse talking about it often is just nothing but quick fixes, or people just wanting to outright get rid of it, which is an issue. Because you can't just do that. That's not actually a good fix. Because, I mean, boy, if you think people looting, like, DeviantArt wholesale for people's creations is kind of suspicious and not great, the amount of issues that would happen if you open the floodgates are just like, yeah, copyright enforcement is just purely you take them to court. Boy, because you can't. I'd love to take certain people to court for, like, stealing my shit back in the day, but the problem is, like, I can't find them. DeviantArt has image detection for people reposting other people's art on DeviantArt and getting turned into NFTs. Let the artist decide whether they want to file the NFT or the DMCA. So there's two issues with that. One, they do have image detection, but it's not perfect. And two, when having your art stolen, that's not a protection. How would I describe this? That the penalties are not dire enough to the offender that it actually becomes a deterrent. What would be a good example? I mean, say if I broke into your house and stole your computer, and I get to use your computer for a week before the cops come, find me, and then make me give it back. There's no fine. There's no real penalty. I get to use your computer as much as I want for that week. And, you know, maybe I'm using it for crypto mining or something like that. So you get your computer back, maybe even in a worse state. Or I've taken the hard drive out and sold it to somebody else. Let's see, what do we want to do on this one? Probably spinach, actually. We just need more damage. And so there's no penalty for me stealing your computer because the enforcement says, well, you're going to have to take me to court. And then I, disappear. I go to France and you can't find me. Maybe you could. Maybe you go further. But yeah, the other thing with DeviantArt is you actively have to pay for the tool. So, I can't really blame them for it. They do have to make a buck, but that's kind of rough because there's a lot of artists out there who can't afford this kind of thing. But there's another cost specifically to DMCA that I talked about a little bit, which is specifically, it takes a lot of time. And a lot of websites don't want to react. So as nice as it is to have the tool that says like, oh, hey, your stuff got stolen, then I have to go convince the website, the web host, that like, hey, one of the people here stole my shit, take it off. And it's not uncommon for it to take a month, 2 months, maybe 2 weeks. Legally, it's supposed to be only a couple of days or maybe a week. I forget the what it is. Shell, who's maybe outside the door, could say. She's actually just, you can come in now, just don't. What is the period? Is it 2 weeks? A week. Okay. So, they have a week to respond, but like a couple of places straight up just won't. And it's also, when you file a DMCA, it's for each copyright violation. So say if somebody steals my artwork 40 times, I have to file 40 DMCAs. I can't just sit down and say, take all of these down. Like, there are definitely a couple of companies that are a little friendlier to this. Like, YouTube, for example, is fantastic. I know people love to hate on the platform, but if somebody steals my shit on YouTube, I can just batch, click little check marks next to each one of them and say, take this down, take this down, take this down, take this down, take this down. It's great. But like we had an issue specifically with, I think it was a German web host who, Vandalier, Union of Ebony Wings and Pigeon. Let's see what this does. Looks like it does the same thing. It's just way angrier. All right, cool. Plus, if they have multiple offenders too, they may not have, yeah, because it's too overwhelming. Yeah. So how many of you guys know specifically the artist that did realistic Pokemon? Whoa, wait, hold up. The union between the Pigeon and Ebony Wings can be upgraded and takes less space? What? Okay, let's grab the Fire Wand, I guess, in that case. Yeah, to open up a weapon slot and might also have upgrades? That's nuts. Pigeon meta has evolved. Okay, so we had a German site that like specifically would not take down the offending item, and it took forever. There's also a lot of people, especially when it comes to copyright, that will hide behind a shield of a sort. Usually it's Cloudflare, where Cloudflare will specifically be their quote-unquote host when you try and do like a DNS lookup of like who owns this item or this website. So you send an email to Cloudflare saying, hey, take this shit down, it's violating my copyrights, and Cloudflare's like, we don't have that, and then they just say no. And so you have to be like, okay, who then? Because it's DNS lookups are saying it's you. And so you have to, it takes like a month of arguing with Cloudflare over and over and over again. Oh, they're better now? Okay. So they're better now, but sometimes they still give wrong answers. But so, like, it can take upwards of a month just to be able to, just to be able to get one of these pieces down. Now, and, okay, Shell, I really can handle this. I'll ask you if I need a clarification or if I'm terribly wrong. Shell's deeply passionate about this because she lost 2 years of her life dealing with this. And so, if this seems like a walk in the park to you, you really should probably volunteer to help somebody, one of these artists deal with these issues. Because going back to the realistic Pokemon thing, that guy is, relatively big as far as art goes on the internet, just because realistic Pokemon is big money. If you wanna have like merch to steal and then sell some really high quality, realistically rendered Pokemon, that's probably gonna sell like hotcakes at, you know, the right buyer, convention, or, you know, NFT collector. And so the dude put out a tweet a couple weeks ago, just being like, you know, please make it stop or something like that. He had hundreds of people stealing his stuff over and over again. You know, if you're really good at it, you might be able to send one DMCA every 10 minutes, and that's like if you're really good. And if you've got hundreds, like that's a whole day gone, stolen by some random person. And you can't get that back. You can't charge them, you know, money for like, you wasted a day of my life, therefore you owe me money. Sometimes you can pull that off, but with many of these people, you know, with many of these people, they're judgment proof. They're just either not in the US, or, you know, in a country that you can sue a person in. And many countries also have their own copyright laws and a bunch of other things. And let's see, how hard would it be to make a tool to script DMCA claims? There are a couple of websites that kind of do that, but it's not great right now, mainly because there's not much of a market for it. I think there is going to be a bigger market as, you know, monetizing things on the internet gets worse and worse. But it's very hit and miss and across the board. But also, not one size fits all. Like I said, not every website even treats DMCAs the same way. So specifically, we had an issue with a D&D website that specifically you can kind of put together all of your campaign information, your lore, your characters, maybe even kind of have a sub forum for your campaign for your players to kind of communicate. And we sent them a number of DMCAs, and they just didn't respond at first. And then when they did, it was this like really sanctimonious, like, you should be happy that people like your work enough. And so it's not always the case that even like a scripted DMCA takedown would work, because many sites straight up just don't give a shit and won't bother. And sometimes just won't bother unless it's like a real person. Oh my god, this is nuts. And a problem? A little bit of a problem. Let's see. And so it's like, it would be so nice specifically if there were better protections for smaller creators. And, you know, maybe if there were kind of guarantees and movements towards that direction, then I think I'd be more okay with taking a look at changing how copyright works. But until that happens, it's always going to be kind of this really spooky thing where when people say like copyright should be changed, it's usually because people, you know, some creator got mad because they got dinged. And sometimes it's actually quite legitimate for a content creator to have gotten dinged in a bad way. I know there was a guy recently that did anime reviews and got his entire channel effectively shut down. None of them were strikes, they just got blocked. But you could not watch any of his anime reviews because whatever anime company that made the animes that he was reviewing just decided, never mind. You know, we're not going to let you. Oh gosh. That guy's hiding behind the Pigeon. Base area up by 30%! Oh hell yeah! The ability to evolve evolvable weapons. Now that's something I was not expecting to see this early in this game, and I'm very excited to see where that goes. Okay, it's totally not Markin, it was Toei Animation. Yeah, okay. I think Toei Animation's always had a bit of a spotty record as far as... Wow. Man, really putting a lot of points into luck actually goes, like, shockingly far. Because I think this is... I've gotten 2 or 3 triple chests already, and here's a quintuple. Gets my axe and my wand closer, and then gets me the sword. And that's also a shit ton of money. I gotta go for luck more often. And I believe, like, it even went to kind of YouTube, and YouTube specifically said, like, yeah, no, this is illegal, like, copyright block or something like that. And, like, I sincerely hope the guy actually does lawyer up and go after both and say, like, no, these are reviews. Because the biggest problem is not so much that the laws are wrong, it's that a lot of the enforcement is bad. That, you know, a lot of companies aren't on anyone's side but their own, and then once they're once they're in the clear, they don't care anymore. And so, like YouTube, for example, they're pretty good about copyright, but ultimately, if push came to shove for Totally Not Mark, they're not going to show up on his behalf. They're just going to do whatever it takes so that Toei isn't going after them or anything like that. Wait, the Toei thing was weird because they provided the shows for him while knowing he used clips in his reviews and had been for ages. That's weird. But like the big issue with that one is less so that like the copyright issues, and more so that, you know, YouTube isn't willing to go to bat for somebody for, you know, actual fair use, and that Toei Animation is apparently secretly scum. Could have been an internal leadership change, or I mean, sometimes it's kind of like the Games Workshop thing where they have like a thing that they're pushing, and they really want to like clear the airwaves so they can have all of it, which is also dirtbaggy. But I hate to use the words like public outrage as the easy solution, but sometimes in these cases it actually feels like it would just be genuinely better if companies knew that, like, hey, you do this and you burn a lot of your audience. And I don't think that's a bad idea. Let's see. Fair use is a defense that only matters in court. Really only comes up when you get sued, and sucks, but that's how it works. Yes and no. So for YouTube specifically, they do actually try and make a distinction most of the time. And so in a lot of cases, you actually can get away by doing the fair use defense. They even have an option for that on the forums. It's just, if it's, this is specifically a problem with a lot of Japanese media and movies, and to a lesser degree music, where they don't care what fair use is, and YouTube isn't willing to like defend a creator over it, so they don't. Wow, you can actually see them getting spawned to the right of the screen as I was moving there, which is really amusing. Let's see, to be fair to Toei, his review was so comprehensive you almost didn't feel like you needed to watch One Piece ever. Huh. I mean, that's interesting. I don't know how to feel on that one. Yeah. Honestly, I'd actually say that's kind of like Let's Plays, and that's part of the reason why I have mixed feelings on some of this stuff. Is because, like, ultimately my job really does kind of depend on legal gray areas on copyright. Luckily, yeah, well, I mean, they had given this reviewer anime. So, like, it's kind of the same vein. Wow. Alright, now we've hit the super level mode. Whoa! Another T5 chest. Hell yeah. But I would say that, like, a review causing financial losses to a creator, a copyright owner, or whatever, I'm not actually sure if that's a good excuse necessarily. Because oh god, what was it? What was the company that went after Total Biscuit back in the day? Gary's Incident. And then there's also the oh gosh, the people that went after that went after Jim Sterling because quote-unquote legal damages because of a bad review. That it's kind of rough to specifically say, like, hey, this review gave me like hurt my product. Like, obviously if the review shows the whole damn movie, then that's not okay. But like, you really cannot have reviews that specifically cater to the idea of this cannot financially damage me, because in a lot of cases there are products that inevitably will get negative reviews. Like did I actually tweet about it? I don't remember. The Mass Effect Legendary Edition, we got the collector's edition or whatever, the one that came with the helmet. And I was like, it was absolute trash. I'm sure a number of people love the thing, but like from my perspective, I spent like it's like $150, $200 for like a really cheap helmet that just did not work. I might not actually live through this. We got 45 seconds, but we are not keeping them off of me. Damn. But so, like, me talking bad about that cannot be cannot absolve a company from going after me for, like, my bad opinion on it and saying it's terrible. Now, obviously, to some degree, I've actually found that it's better just to not talk bad about most products because most people just lose interest pretty quickly. Wow, this is nuts. I'm loving the boosted Pigeon, but I think I would have been better off with the book. Definitely with the book instead of the garlic. I don't think the garlic is really as good as I'd like it to be. The pigeons, though, I might actually have to start adding them to the build, just because they're that good. I believe it's ruled that if a review covers enough of the content, the product doesn't need to be purchased. It can be ruled as not fair use. I think it depends, though, because if it's like an actual review fully, I don't know. But I think that specific consideration is mostly if you're showing the whole damn movie. Just like if I did a game review of a game that was 30 hours long and was actually just a 100% playthrough, 100% completionist playthrough of the game. Like, you could argue that that's not a review anymore, and that is actually just like full content spoilers. And I'm dead anyway. What was the DPS on the pigeons from that? That's got to be the highest DPS I've ever gotten on an item. Yup. 12.2k. That's nonsense. And actually gave the Heaven Sword and Hellfire a decent amount of work there. Okay. Well, I got another run. I think I don't know if I've said my piece as far as this stuff goes, but I think when it comes down to it, there's only so much more I could say. I did a bit. It's fine. Let's grab the armor. And let's do a no evolution build. Oh, why didn't the axe upgrade, though? You didn't you have the required items? Oh, yeah, I did. Huh. Alright, whatever. I don't know. This is not a big deal.